Fear Not, Episode 107. Hi, I'm Billy Atwell, and I believe that consistently facing your fears is the only way to realize your truest self and to make those confident choices that will help you to obtain your deepest held hopes and dreams. I have faith that this podcast series will show you that you are not alone, that it will strengthen you and give you courage to face your fears, and that it will help you to permanently cross over into a life of living beyond your fears. Join me on this journey as we listen and learn from others as they share their experiences in facing and overcoming their own fears. Hello, everybody. Today you and I are going to be joined by epi107. Hi, Amy. How are you today?
I'm great, Billy.
Amy is a certified core energetics practitioner, having graduated from the Core Energetics Institute East in New York City. Amy's extensive training in movement and dance enhances her ability to help clients attain more body awareness and energy release, leading to a sense of more vitality and aliveness. Her mission is to help her clients break through the fear and resistance in their lives and to step into a more richer, abundant life. Her intention is to create a safe and trusting place where people can experience their true feelings and transform, as well as be liberated from the past into the present and onto a more fulfilling future. Amy, can you take a few moments to fill in those gaps and maybe also give us a brief glimpse of your personal life?
Sure, I'd be happy to. What I do is help people release tension in their bodies, and that changes their patterns of behavior in their mind. And that's kind of a short, nice, clear statement. It means movement, it means conceptual awareness, and it really helps people transform. I would like to tell you that I was introduced to this work probably about 15 years ago, and I saw a man come alive right in front of me. So I'll just let you know that was really inspiring.
Amy, can we start off by having you give us your definition of what fear is?
Yeah, I'd like to say that fear energetically, and I'm going to be saying that word a lot, and I mean the movement of our energy in our body, is often displaced upwardly when we're scared. When we have fear, we hold our breath, we become more frozen, we can go into that fight or flight pattern that our brain decides to do. And really, when you think of it, it's such a body reaction. Of course, we can intellectually and mentally be aware of what scares us, but I think fear really is held in the body.
Amy, could you also explain to us what core energetics is for those of us who've never even heard of it before?
Yeah, and I want to tell you that it's about an 80-year-old practice, and the science is over 100 years old. And of course, core, the word core has been used for abdominals and Pilates for several years. But the core in core energetics is the center of right energy. And if you think about that, where in our body do we really live from? And my answer would be from the heart. We really need to love in our life and be loved. And that has a very, very important effect on our bodies, our minds, our emotions, our connection to spirit, and how we feel safe in this lifetime.
How could we use core energetics to face fear?
It's a really good question. What we would do is, let's say you were one of my clients, I would ask you what you're fearful of in your life. And I'm going to ask you that right now, Billy. And I'd like to kind of play a game and with you and ask your listeners to also play along with us. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
Okay, good. So if everybody would just think of something they're fearful of, don't think too hard or too long, and let's just, if you wouldn't mind sharing something, and I will share it as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of dealing with this sense of limiting myself, afraid of
Hmm,
afraid of my own sort of overwhelming capacity.
great. Scared of your own overwhelming capacity. It sounds like your success, achievement. What I'd like you to do is just feel what your body feels like. Having said that, just notice if there's a shift. And I will talk about maybe my fear right now of my doing this interview well, or the best I can do, or perfectly, or whatever fear I might have around that. Let's say performance. So that being said, and I'd like to ask your listeners also you can say that out loud, whatever your fear is. And now I'd like to ask everyone to stand up. And if you can't, to sit in your chair. But if you would come along with me on this little ride, Billy, that would be great.
Sure.
Okay, so we don't need much room, everybody. I'm not going to have you leaping and bounding across the room. So just put your feet about shoulder width apart. Take a nice deep breath. And I'm warning you, you're going to all hear me breathe a little bit. And breathing out loud is actually good. So I invite you guys all to do that. Now, soften your knees just a little bit. So the legs are not straight. You're going to feel a little shorter. And now let your pelvis come forward just a skosh. Just like it's just coming forward to say hello. Not in any dramatic way. And now feel the center of your body, like right around your pelvis area, right in the middle. If you'd like to close your eyes, you can do that as well. And take another deep breath. And as I'm breathing and making a little sound, not a blow like, but an actual sound. So I'm using my diaphragm. I'm trying to open up the area that comes up to my mouth from my diaphragm. Now I'm going to think from that center point right in my pelvis to draw a line right up to the top of my head inside, feeling like almost you can bring a bit of light, a rod of energy up to the top of the head. And you can even let it go up towards the ceiling. Let's take a couple of nice, more deep breaths. And if you guys and your audience can just go ahead and keep breathing, even while I'm talking, that would be great. How you doing, Billy?
I'm doing good.
Good. Your knees still soft?
Yep.
Good. Feeling your feet on the ground?
Very much so.
Great. You might even start to feel a little shaking. That is your energy moving. We're creating a little tension by the legs being bent. Now we're going to create a little more tension and start to release that. Okay? You ready?
Sure.
I'm going to lift my shoulders up, inhale and hold, and then let them come down and kind of push your arms down as well. Ha, and add a ha sound. All right, let's do it together. Ha. Great. Let's keep doing it. Up. Ha. Shoulders come way up. Ha. You can even let your upper body drop down just a bit. Ha. Keeping those knees bent. Ha. Feeling your breath maybe get a little fuller. This exercise is also helping ground us. Getting down into the ground. One more. Good. And now we're going to reach out with our arms with your hands facing forward, and we're going to pull our chest open as the arms come back. All right, you ready to reach? Reaching like you're really reaching for something and pulling back. This is opening up our heart. And you can even imagine reaching for something that you're longing for. Good. And have fun with it, everybody. This doesn't have to be serious. We're kind of starting to inhabit our bodies energetically. We're charging our energy up. No, knees are still bent. Let's do one more. Make it a big one. Good. And shake out just a little bit. All right. Now we're going to move down to our next segment. So we started up by the head with our breathing, came down to the chest where our heart is. Now we're going to go down to our pelvis. So the pelvis is kind of a loaded place full of lots of emotions. There can be fear there too. There can be lots of pleasure and joy. And it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of energy held in the pelvis. So I'm just going to take a little risk here, and we're going to let your pelvis go forward and back. So it's kind of going to swing forward and back with a little bit of purpose. Keeping that breathing going, because that's the first thing we stop when we're fearful, when we have any anxiety, is our breath. And most people know that. I just want to say that out loud. How you doing, Billy?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Anybody watching you there in your booth?
No.
Good. Or maybe not good. So let your arms come in on it. Just let your arms come forward and let the pelvis come forward. Arms come back as the pelvis comes forward. And all these movements can bring up some feelings, all right? They're not bad feelings. They're feelings that are held in the musculature. Sometimes they're memories as well. So it's very interesting. This is like a little self-exploration. And let me tell you, and your audience as well, breathing out loud is kind of infectious. It helps you become more in your body. I have people say, gosh, that was a big sigh, or you're breathing out loud. I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling more alive. How about two more? And one more. And now the final one I'm going to ask you guys to do is to stamp your feet. And also shake out your hands. You might start to feel a little more flow of energy, some more feelings. Shaking your hands out, let your shoulders go. Letting the arms go, almost like you're taking a little run. And don't forget your breathing. Do just another couple of seconds. Good, I hear you breathing. Okay, and now, Billy, we're going to do something called the waterfall, and that is we're just going to bend over. Our legs are also still about shoulder width apart. We're going to kind of dangle with your head down. So I'd like to ask your listeners not to rise up really quickly, and you too, Billy. Let yourself kind of dangle. And what else should we be doing right now?
Breathing.
Breathing. So this is called a discharge part of what we've just been done. We're charging up our energy with that movement. And now when you kind of feel saturated, which means you've had enough of being upside down, really slowly roll up. Feel your feet pushing into the floor. Take a couple of those nice breaths. Ah, yeah. So, without having to think too much, how are you feeling right now, Billy?
Like I'm not thinking?
Yes. Yes. Ah, yeah. So your energy feels more like it's in your body than just in your head.
Yeah, that's a fair description.
Yeah. Good. Good. Ah. So for me too, I feel like I'm actually kind of possessing my body, like I'm inhabiting it, instead of kind of lugging it around or just coming from my brain.
So, how can we use this to help us deal with fear?
So I want to ask you right now, how do you feel about what you were fearful about a couple of minutes ago?
I totally forgot all about it.
Exactly. Now, that's not what I'm trying to do is have everybody forget their fear. But notice how it's different. You don't can't even remember. I mean, it's really amazing. It's like now I have more of myself to bring to whatever that could have been that you were fearful about. I'll use mine as an example. I was fearful, or at least more fearful, a couple of minutes ago about doing this interview. Now I've been able to breathe. I did some laughing, which is also a release. It's one of my specialties, breathing and laughing. And I don't feel so afraid of doing this interview now.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems sort of logical that this might be something to do if, right before you have to step into fear, like if you're a public speaker or you got to give a presentation at work, this might be a good way to help you shift your mindset.
It really is. And that's a great example. And it can be even something like running in place, doing a couple of jumping jacks, anything that gets you back into your body. And when I say into your body as opposed to just in your head, I mean, there's a real cutoff that we learn that we have to be in our brains and our heads in order to be safe and to function well. We're told that you do well in school, you're going to get approval. We're also told, the more you succeed, you need to figure this out. You'll get what you want in life. But it doesn't talk about the rest of us, which is really 7/8 of us when you think about it. So talking's fine and being in your body is fine, but being in your head is necessary, obviously. But what's the rest of us doing? And there's such wisdom here in the body. And I'm able to breathe a little more clearly. How about you, Billy?
Yes, and I'm actually dealing with a little bit of allergies right at the moment, and it did actually sort of open up my lung capacity.
Did it? Great, great. And that's your energy flow going through all these different segments in your body. Thank goodness for yoga because it's really helped people have more awareness around breathing and around the chakras, which are these energy areas in our bodies. And in core energetics, we talk about them as segments. It's the same as chakras in many ways. And these areas are where a lot of tension are held and throughout our development as actually in utero, and it's developed until we're about 7 or 8 years old. And that's what we do with core energetics. We do a bit of, I call it a little exploration into what happened in your life at different times because this defines how your energy is moving in your body and where it was held. And most of the impetus is around being loved. So, for example, if we are born into a family that's super busy, we come out, we are a little bit safe in the sense that we feel like we belong, but our needs aren't met. We're not being fed emotionally. Well, that takes a very physical manifestation in our bodies and in our holding patterns in the body. And it's so fascinating because it's something we can't just figure out. We can really feel it out. So when I work with clients and I find out kind of where they may be stuck in their lives, it has something to do with, of course, their childhood, but what was okay for them to be? Could they be in their full energy, or did they kind of have to shut down? And it's creative and interesting, and we can have fun around this as well. And it's really about exploration that not just talk therapy can uncover.
What else do you do with your clients that you might be able to share with us today?
Well, what I have is I've got a studio that kind of looks like a gym. And what we do is we do different movements that work with these different segments, chakras, wherever the energy may be stuck, and there's movement. So I'll help guide people to move their bodies in certain ways. And we also do some vocalizations. So today we did some nice breathing. That's a kind of vocalization. But often in these areas, there are feelings that are still held. So I'll encourage people to move certain parts of their body and also make sounds. And they can be subtle movements and they can be dynamic movements.
So is the intent to sort of break up the held stagnant energy? It's like a vibration kind of, when you sort of...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's your chi. There is an energy flow in core energetics. It's called orgone energy. It's called prana. It's called chi. You name it, it's our energy. And there is a flow that needs to happen for us to be well and create a kind of ease in our body. And when it's disturbed, it equals lack of ease or dis-ease.
Amy, if someone would like to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, they could go to my website, which is coreenergeticschicago.com, all one word. And that's COREENERGETICS and Chicago.com.
Amy, what parting advice would you like to leave with us today?
Oh, great question. Well, I would like to say that not being in your head is actually a really good thing. I tell my clients, try not to think about it. Try to feel. Try to feel. And often our feelings were kind of dangerous as we were growing up. And that's why that clamping down. We don't want to feel that we're not going to be loved if we're too artistic or too abundant. For me, the being too successful is not a good idea. I might not be loved by people, by my friends or whatever. And this, these are messages we got sometimes a long time ago. But when we start to open and feel some of the feelings that were kind of unfelt or we thought were dangerous to feel, it actually really helps us. So keep breathing, keep moving, keep feeling.
Amy, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today and giving us basically a free coaching session. So thank you so much for helping us and teaching us about core energetics and how we might be able to use that in dealing with fear. So thank you.
You're so welcome, Billy, and it's my pleasure, and I had a great time. And it was fun to also be in my body and feel these feelings and move my energy too. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today. And remember, you cannot achieve everything, but you do have the God-given ability to achieve anything. So stay focused, out of fear, and keep on keeping on. Until next time, be well and peaceful. For more information on today's episode and guest, or for resources that will assist you in overcoming your fears, visit livingbeyondyourfears.com. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, where 3 times a week we move to a life beyond our fears.